comes and goes, but deep you always know. You must believe. Slow down, believe. Love can happen. Don't walk on. Believe, make it happen. Nothing but the truth. Abandon all the fools. You just believe. Whoa. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't look far, believe, stop the sorrow. Don't wait long, believe in tomorrow. Say you're gonna try, shout up to the sky, say you will believe. Say you're gonna try, shout up to the sky, say you will believe, say you will believe, say you're gonna try, shout up to the sky, say you will believe.
We are joined all the way from the other side of the world with Joe Mandica from The Initiative. We just heard a great set of your music. How are you tonight, Joe?
Well, Evan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a rough couple of weeks. Several deaths of friends. So, you know,
Oh, that's-
struggling with that. Rough way to end the year and start the year. But, you know, you still always put your best foot forward. And what's doing in Australia, home of my buddy Jeff Brown, who connected all of us. How you guys doing?
Well, we've got some very hot weather here, very hot. So we're about the fourth hot day in a row. And so we're all sitting in the air conditioning trying to avoid the heat. But we're well. And Jeff, I think I'll be seeing Jeff on Friday night. He's coming to one of my gigs. He's going to pop in.
I just want to say something about Jeff. Yeah, this guy is one of the most supportive human beings I've met on any continent. I'm telling you, this guy, you know, he'll do anything for a friend. He personifies the word friend, and I sincerely mean that. And we had like a long distance friendship for the longest time through the wrestling world, and
Yes.
basically anything I published, anything I ever did, he supported, and you felt like you knew the man personally. And then I finally met him in New York, and we had a blast, and we introduced him to all the hip hop artists, and you know, we gave him a real New York experience, not a tourist deal.
Yes, no, he's got a great love of entertainment in general, and he appreciates it. And he's been a great supporter of mine for many years now, and just a wonderful man. You know, privileged to know him.
He was raving about you guys, and you know, I part of me was like, it's just Jeff. He's supportive of everybody. And then I actually listened to your stuff and watched your stuff, and I'm like, wow, he's right. These guys are awesome. And,
he tells it like it is. That's Jeff. He will not exaggerate it. He just tells it how it is, black and white.
Okay. So we recently featured you on Legends TV, and with New York indie hip hop artist Cooley High and At Last,
Yep.
our most recent episode at legendstv.net. And we showed a video of you guys, and I was so impressed. It looked like you had an army on stage. I don't think I've seen so many people on stage since like George Clinton Parliament Funkadelic shows. How many people did you have up there?
I didn't count exactly. Probably about 12 or 13 band members, musicians. That was our CD launch of the initiative, and that was the final number when everybody gets up on stage and participates. So I thought I'd send you that clip for that reason, so you could see everybody. But yeah, it was a great night, and we have a DVD which I'm just waiting for the American versions to come out, and I'm going to put in the mail to yourself and Steve. Hopefully, you'll enjoy that.
Great, great. And I don't know if you use the same term out there in Australia, but as I was listening to your music, I said, this is like real soul, like blue-eyed soul. I mean, you guys have a real soulful sound. What do you think of that?
Thank you. Well, that's a fantastic compliment. We had that compliment about soul, and also had a compliment from Beverly Patterson, a American reviewer, who said it was a little bit gospel. So I love that kind of music. That's to get a compliment of that nature is really a great thrill for me.
Yeah, you have the cry in your voice like the great soul singers, and you know I grew up in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. I grew up on R&B and jazz and blues more so than rock. So
Yep.
you know I was very impressed by your music, and I asked At Last, the hip hop artist on the TV show the other day. I'm going to ask you the same question. What's it like working with a collective? Because I know many times in entertainment, there's a lot of egos. It's all about me. I want more stage time. And I didn't get that vibe from watching you guys. It looked like you were having a lot of fun out there.
Well, look, between you and me, I've got the biggest ego of all.
Okay.
So, no, that's just a joke. Now, look, everybody in the team, I've known all these singers, all these vocalists and the musicians for many years. Well, some for longer than others. And when we put them all, the idea was, wake up in the middle of the night one morning, couldn't sleep, thinking I'd love to put everyone together and see what noise we make. And it was just a fantastic result. Everything worked so well in the studio, at rehearsals. The final product just came out so well. There was really no ego. If there was, everyone sort of just stood back and respected everybody else. I'm very fortunate that happened because, yeah, like you just said, there could be just a lot of ego going on. But I think everyone's very respectful of each other on the album.
And I know my TV partner, Steve Ludwig, he's been featuring many of your collective on classic pop culture. So what's it feel like to suddenly be getting American radio exposure, TV exposure?
We love it because, in Australia, I mean, the American culture and the British culture, the movies, the music that we hear, it's all, that's what we're listening to all the time. That's what we've always listened to. And of course, a lot of our Australian actors and singers and bands have gone over to the American and become very successful. And you guys seem to love the Aussies as well. So for us to be appreciated by Steve Ludwig and yourself is a great honour.
Thank you. And I'm very jaded. Believe me, I've seen live, Stevie Wonder, Al Green, Marvin Gaye, the original Temptations. I mean, I've seen the greatest of the greats live, and when I like somebody, usually they're very good, because, I was booking a club out in New York, 4 nights a week, multiple acts a night. Now I'm doing weekly radio and TV. Yeah. So, over the years, I've done radio since 1990. So over the years, I've been exposed live to thousands upon thousands of artists. And when sometimes I see somebody new and I go, wow, this is something special, which was the reaction I got when I first saw you guys and heard you guys, and I was going to suggest something. How doable it is, I really don't know. But recently, I went to England where I screened my documentary I produced, Teresa Sario Alive Again, at 2 colleges, and we had a great gig at Edge Hill University, and they made a big deal out of these artists are from New York. And, to me, it's like, what's the big deal? I've lived in New York my whole life, but I realized that over there it was kind of a novelty. So I was thinking maybe somehow we could do some kind of cultural exchange where I bring some great New York artists to Australia and bring some great Australian artists to New York. How we would, the logistics, would need a lot to work on, but it seems like a great idea in theory.
Well, look, that's magical. I mean, if that could happen, we want that to happen. Basically that's what we're hoping for. We want to build enough momentum over in the United States slowly by planting all those seeds, and maybe an invitation might come forth. And we'd be very excited to do that. I mean, a friend of mine, Peter Rector, co-songwriter on 4 of the tracks on the album, said to me, who's been around in the industry for a long time, back to the 60s, and he said to me, Joe, he said, this album you've made, it's got a very American feel to it. Now, I don't know if you could appreciate from you being over there, but he said to me, it sounds like something that the American market would embrace. And I said, okay. And then fast forward with Steve and everyone, that's what we're getting. We're getting the biggest response from the American market. So hopefully we've hit the mark.
Well, what I'll gladly do, meanwhile, of course, is pitch you to various other DJs and people that I know. But it's something to consider and shoot for. As they say, dream big. I mean,
yes.
We did some beautiful shows in England, and they kept saying from New York, and I'm like, not that big a deal, but to them it was. So
it's like the story. I don't know if you're a Beatles fan, but it's a story about the Beatles when they went to Germany, unknown as nobodies, not famous yet, and then came back to Liverpool, and they put a few signs up saying, return from Germany, and all the locals thought that they were a German band, so all of a sudden the gig was packed. As opposed to them playing to nobody, the perception that they were from somewhere else was the novelty, I guess.
Sure. When you say, believe it or not, I know you're going to laugh, but when you say Australia over here, it sounds very exotic to people. So
you're all thinking we have kangaroos hopping down the sidewalk, all that stuff.
We know Australia through Outback Jack the wrestler, and what's the guy's name? The action movie series, the guy from Australia.
Are you talking about Crocodile Dundee?
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee. I mean, this is the kind of ridiculous perception Americans have. So anyway, tell us about some of the artists in your collective.
Okay. There's 7 artists in the collective. I'll just run through them quickly. We have Grace Marino, who is one of our main female vocalists. She does 2 tracks on the album. A very big voice, fantastic voice, and she delivers 2 tracks. And the amazing thing about Grace is that up until probably 12, 18 months ago, she wasn't actually recording any original music at all. So she's embraced this very, very quickly, and she's a fast learner. So that's Grace. We have Fortunato Isgro, who is a young man. He's approximately 30 years of age. He lives in Brisbane, Australia, and he's very, very, very popular over in the Gold Coast. And he does 3 songs on the album. The Golden Voice, we call him. He's just got a pure, fantastic quality to his voice. I think one of the tracks that you've been featuring, Keep Thinking of You, is one of the ones that was described as soulful by Steve Ludwig, I think. So that's Fortunato. We also have Marty Penrose, who does a duet with me, Then the Light Came On, which you've been featuring. He's in Australia one of the top Roy Orbison voices. He just sounds exactly like him. And on this song, we tried to do a Travelling Wilburys type tribute. And that's one of the tracks we do together. I was trying to do Johnny Cash. I don't know how well it came across, but that was one of the songs as well. And his daughter, Taylor Penrose, who does 2 songs, Believe, which you've been featuring this morning, and Gives Me Everything, which Beverly Patterson likened to the Supremes, which was another great honour. Also on the album, we have Natalie and Zachary Wilsh. Now, they have a different surname, but Natalie's my daughter, and she sings on the album as well, one of the tracks. Nice, young, bubbly sort of sound. So she's there as well, and I think Nino is the other chap on the album, who does what we call our Frank Sinatra / Tony Bennett type crooning on the album. I think I've mentioned everybody. So collectively, fantastic singers, and then the musicians on the album are all very good, close colleagues that play on the album. Mario Adrius on drums, Sam Oliveri, Vince Madafri. I'm going to just name them all if I can. My son Matthew Mandica on lead guitar, Paul Kritikos on bass, Andrew Burns on keyboards, and Darryl Roberts on harmonica and keyboards. I think I've mentioned everybody. I hope I have. If I haven't, guys, sorry. But
the one guy you did, and he's going to hate you. But don't let that stop you. I'm joking.
Oh, no, you had me worried there.
Yeah.
Where's the CD? Let me find it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So just a great team of people, all friends, all supportive, and all been in the industry for quite a long time. Hopefully, this will give them the recognition they deserve.
And who are some of the Australian musicians that have crossed over to the States here, off the top of your head?
Well, they're most famous. I mean, you of course got the Bee Gees. You have Olivia Newton-John, big names there in America, obviously in movies as well. In Excess is one of the Australian bands from the 80s that made it very big over there, I believe. Of course, I think Steve was playing Men at Work down under. I live in a land down under, but that's going back a few years now. But yeah, many artists, obviously the actors as well. Mel Gibson, Russell Crowe. Gosh, there's quite a few that have made it. Keith Urban, there we are. Keith Urban, he's the latest big name Aussie, I think, over there in America, in the country scene, which is, I believe, huge.
Well, it's not a huge list, so hopefully we could add you guys to it.
Let's put the initiative on that list. Yep.
There you go. Let's see if my co-host, Dr. Mike Lano, has questions. Dr. Mike.
Oh, I'm here. We had a personal favorite of mine, and he was just brilliant. Rhys Darby from New Zealand on maybe about a year ago from Flight of the Conchords. And that show, the show is brilliant, but I never knew because, people joke around and sometimes say, oh, is there any feud between the U.S. and Canada or the U.S. and Mexico? And no, it's ridiculous. But is there some sort of subtle feud or do you guys try to outshine New Zealanders, Aussies and New Zealanders? Because they made it sound as if there was like some great civil war and Australian folks and New Zealand folks. Like you couldn't date a New Zealand girl if you were Australian or vice versa.
Well, we make fun of the Kiwis. We call them the Kiwis. There's a little bit of that going on, but a lot of New Zealand musicians have come to Australia and settled here, and their careers kicked off from here. Crowded House, Neil Finn from Crowded House, is a Kiwi, and he came over here, and from there, I think he went to #1 in America with "Don't Dream It's Over." But yeah, there's that thing. We crack a lot of jokes about the Kiwis. Fashion chops, I think is how they say fish and chips. They think we sound funny. We think you guys sound funny. I don't know.
But I think people in Australia were speaking English probably way before Americans, or we came over and started pushing the Native Americans out of their land, which kind of is that in any way similar to Aboriginal stuff? Because, a lot of Australian artists have come out, I think Midnight Oil, pushing the plight of Aborigines. But I don't know, I don't think anybody could have raped Native people the way Americans did with what we used to call Indians. Now they're Native Americans, and stealing their land and all that stuff. I don't know if that is even on a slight level with Aborigine people. Is that?
Well, I think, I'm not very political, but I think that, it's a very similar situation with the Aborigines and their land, similar to the American Indian. And I think it's just an ongoing situation as to who did what and when and whether it was right or not. But, there's so much going on to amend all that in Australia with their culture.
And there's a ton of it there. Everybody was concerned too. There's a lot of, and you may not know, as you said, you're not political and you don't have to answer this question, but with a lot of people, a lot of countries screwing up the environment, there was a lot of fear. The world's greatest reef system, and I'm a diver, the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, there was coral was being hurt and fish were dying and all that stuff. Is that something that you're aware of on any level? Hopefully
Yeah,
that's not true, but that's like the greatest place to dive.
yeah, that's right. And look, I'm not an authority to speak on that, but I have heard of what you're talking about. Yeah, and I just got corrected by a colleague of mine that the term is indigenous, not Aboriginal. That's how
Yeah.
Indigenous people. Yes, with respect. Yes.
All right.
It's a heavy topic.
Yeah, we're discussing the arts, and Midnight Oil is one of my favorite bands. I'll just ask, what
Well,
are
Midnight
they
Oil.
doing anything? Are they
Peter
still
Garrett.
touring, or did they break up?
Look, Peter Garrett is the lead singer of Midnight Oil. He went into politics probably 10 years ago, so he's actually a politician. And I don't think they perform. I think they might get together and play a gig here and there, but he's now in politics, Peter Garrett. So obviously, continuing the cause.
Oh, well, good for him. And he was always not only just one of the tallest guys ever in the music world, but very intelligent songwriting and one of those sensitive guys. And the band was sort of like it was reminded me of REM, but was much bigger because Australia is a gigantic country. It's huge,
yeah.
And the influence is global. So, Ev, I'll throw back to you.
Okay, all right. So we have a cultural lesson here from Joe and from the other side of the world. There you go. So,
thanks for that.
Joe, what do you have coming up? What can you announce to a worldwide audience?
Well, the initiative CD is what we're trying to focus on. We just we filmed our CD launch and just have it putting it out on DVD as a companion to the CD, so people can actually see the actual artists, what they look like, and how they actually perform. It's all live, and it's turned out really well. So that's just coming out as well. All the artists are just itching to perform this show anywhere, all around the world, anywhere that we possibly can. The hardest thing about it is, unlike a band that's a unit, we have 7 individual singers, and some of them scattered around Australia, so it's hard to get everyone together at the same time. But just say the word, and we're going to do our very best to do that. We believe in it very, very much. This is the work on the album is all original music. I've written and co-written all the songs, produced it, arranged it. I've got great pride and joy into it. It's very close to my heart, but it's a good vibe. It's a happy vibe, and we're getting so many good responsive. And we get nice things like people saying, "Oh, I'm driving down in my car and I've got it blaring with the radio, with the window down." That's nice to hear things like that. And I've put it in my CD player and it hasn't left there since I've put it on. I listen to it all the time. And other people saying, "I can't get that song out of my head. I go to bed and it's driving me mad. It goes around and around in my head." These are all good signs. I mean, I've read about all my idols and all the songs and the things that they've put out and that have become iconic. And they're all the things that you want to hear. People saying that they love the song because it makes them feel good, or if they can relate to it in some manner. It's all about association music, and I think we might be onto some association happening here.
There you go. And who are some of your musical influences?
My musical influences. I love all music. As I said, with the American and English influences in Australia, I love the Beatles. They're my favourites, but I love bands like the Knack as well from America. My dad always played country music, so we always listened to Gene Autry, way back the Western stuff. Just everything. Jeff Lynne and Electric Light Orchestra, that's probably who I grew up listening to as well. Look, we're over in this country. We don't in America. You have all the genres and all the different radio stations, which is fantastic. But over here, we have like a mixed bag of everything. So one station might play everything from jazz to rock and roll. It's all sort of pretty much grouped together. But over there, my friend Marty Penrose made a trip over there, and he said that he was listening to internet radio. And it was all soul music, I think he said to me, just one station, just dedicated to one genre of music, which is fantastic, But we love all the fantastic music out of those countries. I love that. That's what I listen to, and that's where my influences have come from.
There you go. And anyone in the band musically coming from a totally different place, because sometimes that works.
Yeah. Let me think. Well, Fortunato, which is from Brisbane, he basically is a what we call an Italian singer, and he basically was singing just all Italian music for the Italian audiences. He hadn't recorded anything original, and he hadn't really recorded anything in this style. And his voice, someone compared to him, a young Cliff Richard, which is the English singer.
Sure.
He sounds like he could be fronting, a pop band now. That was something completely different for him. Nino, who actually is not a professional vocalist, he used to just get up and at one of my gigs on a Friday night, he'd get up every Friday and do a couple of songs. And we got him to the studio, and he sounds fantastic on his songs called Anymore and You Like Me. So, yeah, a lot of people come in raw and hadn't done anything like it before, but they just adapted so well that I suppose the songs just worked for them. They just fitted. They're just fantastic, Taylor
Guys,
Penrose.
can I interrupt for 1 second? Cliff Richard sang, obviously he was a famous guy on his own, but then he did that duet or several with Olivia Newton-John for
That's right.
that infamous roller skating movie, Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Any thoughts on that?
Xanadu, it's got a great soundtrack, put it that way. I didn't think the movie was that great, but the soundtrack was fantastic. I think Jeff Flynn and ELO did all the music.
It was great, and actually, well, it's like one of those midnight movies, but it was the very last film appearance for Gene Kelly.
That's right.
He was in it before he died. Yeah. He died soon after.
Yes. No, it was it's fun. I mean, my son who's 19 said we saw Xanadu on late night telly one night. We watched it, and he said we're trying to make heads and tails, as we say. We couldn't quite work out the movie, but the kids of today are all looking back on that stuff and trying to work it all out. It's good music. The music is what makes it last.
There you go. So, Joe, tell the listeners how to get in touch with you, how to pick up your CDs, any social media, whatever you want to plug. The next minute or two are yours.
Okay. Well, the initiative is on Facebook. We'd love you to join up our Facebook page. It's the initiative. The initiative JM. So that's Facebook.com. The initiative JM. Join up there, and you can see videos and stuff. We're actually just creating a YouTube channel for the initiative with all the performances and extras like rehearsals and some studio footage. That's coming through YouTube very shortly. We have an email address which is the initiative@live.com. Sorry, I'll spell that out. It's the initiative dash. Sorry, start again, Joe. The-initiative@live.com. That's another way. Obviously, Steve Ludwig's show and your show, I'm sure if they get in touch with you, you can direct them as well. We're on iTunes and Amazon, so if you want to download the music, you can do that on iTunes and Amazon just by typing in the initiatives at iTunes, or just the initiative in Google will take you to the right spot there. That's where we're at the moment, yeah.
There you go. So, Joe, we just want to thank you so much for appearing on not only Legends Radio tonight, but Legends TV, where you could see the archive from last week's show at legends.tv.net. And it must have been kind of a culture shock to see yourself on a show with New York hip-hop artists. What did that feel like?
It felt very cool. Is that the right word? Is that a cool expression? No, it was fantastic to be amongst the guests that you'd put us in between, to slot us in there, and just to hear those American accents being introduced, all the way from Australia was a real kick. Fantastic. And I loved the little kid running around there. Was that his mum doing the hip hop?
Yeah, that was his mom. And,
that was really cute.
I said to her, she should take that part of the show and put that in and of itself as a YouTube clip. Like wrap a mom with dancing 2-year-old. I think it could go viral. The kid's so adorable.
Yeah, he was having a ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
We thank you very much for giving us that time on air. Appreciate it. Your viewing audience, I'm trusting, enjoyed the clip.
Absolutely. Everybody, this is what's beautiful about the quote unquote music community. True artists appreciate other artists. You know, even though what you're doing and they're doing, it's like apples and oranges. I mean, and you're literally on different sides of the world. The hip-hop artists told me they liked your music, and you're telling me you enjoyed them. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and, you know, it's great to connect people. We've had Oliver Shawn on from Goa, and you know, we're having an Italian blues player coming on who barely speaks English in a couple of weeks. And, you know, internet TV is really going to bridge, you know, cultural gaps, I would think, because you could do things like this where, you know, through Skype or through YouTube videos or whatever the case may be, you could do these crazy mashups and somehow make it work.
It does. And even what yourself and Steve are doing is so very important to artists like ourselves. We just can't appreciate it enough. The industry's become so big now, the doors are shut so tight that it's just almost impossible to get a hearing. But with programs like yours all around the world, it's all streaming. You can watch it on your phone if you want to. It's all there at your fingertips, and it's greatly appreciated. So please keep up the good work. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And speaking of that, one final question. Has ageism, you always hear about racism, sexism, has ageism hurt quality musicians in Australia like it has here in the States?
Ageism. Please just explain quickly. Ageism. I haven't heard that
Discrimination because of someone's age. You know, the artists that you saw on my show the other day, they're not kids. And the record industry is looking for 13 to 22-year-olds. And I think it's outrageous. I think it's absolutely outrageous. But
no,
I don't.
Absolutely
is
right.
the same in Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the same issue, but we're finding that a lot of people. 35 plus age group are starving for good new music. They still want to go out. They've still got money to spend. And I do gigs on the weekend. We have those people come out and say, where do we go? Where do we fit in? How can we fit into a 13 to 20-year-old market? Our kids are all going out having a good time. We want to have a good time too. So that's where all of a sudden I found myself having an audience, wanting to hear good music of any genre that you really want to present them to. So I think there's going to be a turnaround. I think it's going to eventually get to that point. And also, I'm finding a lot of young kids now are actually tuning into what we call the classic music. They're walking around with Beatles and Pink Floyd T-shirts and Led Zeppelin T-shirts, and we wonder what's going on here. You know, why are you into that music? And I think it gets to a point where they get sick of the rehash and the non-originality of a lot of the stuff that's coming out. And I don't want to be, you know, critical, but I think, you know, there's a lot of sameness about it. It's just fresh to have some good stuff coming out, you know. So it's a real challenge. We're fighting.
There you go. Well, keep up the good fight. You're certainly making great music, and we're glad to have you on Legends Radio and Legends TV, and hopefully we could pull off that cultural exchange. I get these light bulbs. You never know. You never know. So
it would be. Yes, let's not let that thought go astray. Yes, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we'll let Jeff Brown be the MC or whatever, because you know, that would be colorful.
We'll get him a bow tie for the night. Okay.
That's right. And shout out to Grace from the initiative. She's been in touch.
She's listening right now. She's texting me as we speak every couple of minutes. She's online now listening. So actually, she's trying to send me.
Here's the message to all the people that continually text me and guests while we're doing radio. Let us focus, will you? Let us focus. Jesus Christ! I'm telling you, I try to do radio and I get 22, text messages, instant messages, emails. You know, my head spins, man.
Yeah.
It's like a moratorium when you're on the air, but. We love Grace anyway. I'm just joking. So anyway, we must wrap it up. We are so honored and pleased to have you from exotic Australia, or at least New Yorkers think so. Thanks for appearing on the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you very much.
You got it. And folks, support the initiative. Check them out. You won't regret it. And we will be right back with pro wrestling, folks. We're totally going to shift gears in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Never seen any sign, don't know where it came from. But it happened now, and I don't care how. Conclusion all forgone. And then the light came on. Don't know why, how, where, but the light came on. And I really don't care, 'cause I chanced upon loving you when the light came on. Quite the pair, they'll stop and stare, glow is out of sight. When you shone on through, I could see it was you, you were shining bright. But it happened now, and I don't care how, 'cause it seems so right. Then the light came on, don't know why, how, where, but the light came on. And I really don't care, 'cause I chanced upon loving you when the light came on. Ooh, when the light came on. Ooh, when the light came on. Ooh. Cruising on through life, normal trouble and strife, I was on the burn. At the back of my mind, never gave any time, never my concern. But it happened now, and I do care how most roads do turn. And then the light came on. Don't know why, how, where, but the light came on. And I really don't care, 'cause I chanced upon loving you when the light came on. And then the light came on. Don't know why, how, where, but the light came on. And I really don't